Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're looking at the NBA Prize Picks props for Game 2 of the Finals tomorrow. Been having an absolutely ridiculously crazy good weekend. You know, in this space, gambling, Prize Picks, DFS, whatever you play all of them. Lots of weekends, lots of weeks, days, just things don't go your way. But whenever you have a crazy good streak, it's always nice to reflect on that, be thankful, and just know that it's probably going to turn around sooner or later. But been absolutely on fire right now. I posted another baseball prop for Prize Picks, another 3 today, and they all cashed. Went Pablo Lopez over 18 outs, got 2 nerfies with the White Sox, the Padres one, and then they took out the Rays one early, so then I posted another one to pivot, which was the Marlins one, and that one cashed as well. I turned like 80 something bucks into 1766 on some parlays, 8-leg and 6-leg ones today. And then the day before, which is Friday night, we hit these Dunnings, Vivaldi, and Bassett Prize Picks, which I posted here and posted on YouTube. And then I also woke up to this today, which was 43 into $1,500. So been having a crazy good weekend in terms of gambling and Prize Picks. Topping on the icing on the cake would be winning or having a very good day in the finals for the showdown on DraftKings, which I have a video out for tomorrow in the morning. But let's go ahead and get into the Prize Picks. As always, hit the like button if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you haven't already, especially the like button if you tailed the last couple of days and you made some money. Much appreciated. Check out all the other links down below. If you're still waiting to get signed up on Prize Picks, you can use my code PROCESS and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. And let's get started with a couple of props that I like. I'll probably have 4 that I want to share today. The points prop, Tatum coming off of a very dreadful shooting performance. Only 3 made field goals for him in like 17 shots, so usually Tatum, whenever he does have a bad shooting night, he always bounces back the next game. We saw it. He always has one poor shooting night, a series it seems. He had one against Milwaukee. He bounced back with a 30-point, 13-rebound effort. He had another poor shooting performance against Miami, and he bounced back with another, I believe, 30-point effort. So I'm expecting another high-scoring, or expecting Tatum to bounce back and put up a high score in terms of points. You know, maybe a little bit less assists. Don't expect him to get 13 assists again. So Tatum's over points I do like. Steph Curry was great from 3 and all over the place. Put up 34 points. His number is somewhat high at 28. I mean, it's high for what it usually is on Prize Picks. Maybe I like his PRA, but I don't know if I can get to 29 points for Curry. Maybe I can mix in some of his fantasy score or his PRA. Jaylen Brown's at 23.5. This one is always going to be right around that number. Like, he's gotten it just by the hook last couple of games. Tough for me to trust the over. We took the under on Klay Thompson at 20.5. It's at 18.5 in game 2. Don't feel as confident in that. If it was back at 20, I'd jump right under take the under 20, but 18.5, no, that's probably on the border. Marcus Smart, I like his fantasy and PRA. Always his points are in the mix just because he plays a lot of minutes and he will take a lot of shots, even if his shot's not falling. But I like his fantasy and his other categories a little bit better than hoping for 15 points. Same thing with Wiggins. I like his fantasy better. He gives you blocks and steal upside. He gives you some rebounding efforts, so I don't know if I want to trust 17 points. I'd rather hope for like 30 fantasy points, which we will get to. And then Horford knocked down 6 threes. Before that, he only had 8 combined points, but completely different series. Going up against Golden State, he's going to be like the stretch 5, matching up against Draymond a lot when they go to those types of lineups. Horford has always been getting you a lot of rebounds. He can get you a couple assists as well. So the points board is something I'm not too keen on right now. I'm going further down here. I just never trust like taking the over on Draymond at all. Robert Williams' playing time has been up and down. Like, he hasn't gotten a ton of minutes with the play of Derek White recently, and it's not a great series for Williams to get a ton of playing time. Looney at 6.5 points. He only had 4, but he got you there with fantasy because he had a bunch of blocks. So I like his fantasy again. It went down by 2 points, and he still can get you like 18 rebounds or 12 rebounds even in limited minutes. Like, if we play 25 in game 1, expect something similar probably in game 2. But one over points I do like is taking the over on Otto Porter Jr. You can take his over on the fantasy score if you wanted to, or the rebounding and the points, but you only need 7 points out of Otto Porter, and he's a guy that will play some decent minutes for them off the bench. He was injured the last few games, but he came right back in game 1 and put up 12 points off the bench. It was pretty solid there. And you know that in this series, they don't really need to play too many big lineups, so expect Porter to be in there a lot as a 4, probably get at least 20 minutes or so, hopefully up to like 25 minutes. So only expecting 7 points. The game that he only had 2 points was the game that he left early. So other than that, he's been hitting his at least 7 points, usually getting double digits. The assist Tatum had a ton of assists, but that's probably because mainly due to his shot wasn't falling, so he didn't take as many shots. Like normally you expect Tatum to take 20 plus shots, but he only took like 17. So I don't know if I can go back to. I don't know if I want to go to 6 assists for Tatum. Same thing with Curry. Like they price some of these not like super appealing. It's kind of really. I don't have too much confidence in taking the overs on some of these. So I have a lot more interest in the other boards like the PRA and the fantasy score. Rebounding. We saw last series, the Tatum and Brown, they were getting a ton of rebounding opportunities because the games were so low scoring. Teams kept missing on both sides. This series expected to be more higher scoring, so we kind of saw like they didn't have as many rebounding opportunities as they typically did. Brown still got there, but these numbers are high. You need 7 from each of them. I'll pass there. Klay Thompson only 3.5 rebounds. Only had 2 in game 1. That would be a number that I would like to consider. Wiggins at 6. I like his PRA, but he's always going to be getting you at least a handful of rebounds. Like hasn't had under 5 the last 5 games, so that's why you can maybe look to his points and rebounds together, or look to his fantasy score, or look to his PRA instead. And Looney at 8.5 rebounds. He got 9. He does have opportunities to get you over 10, even way more than 10. But I like his fantasy more because he can get you those blocks, and that'll really help his fantasy. PRA, typically for PRA, I'm looking at guys like Curry, players that won't get you a lot of blocks and steals, and they don't get any benefit by making 3-pointers with the way Prize Picks is scored. So instead of taking the fantasy, I might take like Curry's PRA instead. Klay Thompson is pretty low. He didn't have a great game in terms of peripherals. You could go to him in a bounce back. Wiggins had a decent game, just got there at 25, but I also do like his fantasy more with the blocks and steal upside that he can give you at times. And then Draymond is pretty low at 21.5, but he's been always up and down this postseason. It's tough to really trust him, so I'd probably pass there. Maybe you can look to Porter instead at 13.5. Like sometimes he can give you a big rebounding effort instead, but I'll just count on 7 points from Porter instead. The fantasy score, got some here that I want to take advantage of, starting with Wiggins at 29. Like he's typically been a lot of the time in the mid-30s in this playoffs. He's had a couple of poor games, like that game against Dallas, but that was a blowout, which a lot of these games have been for the Warriors, and on both sides, like not as much from the Celtics side except for last series. But for Wiggins, normally he's been in like the mid-30s, can get you some steals, will get you rebounds, will play big minutes and get you some points as well, like 15 points or so. You can expect like 5+ rebounds, and then hopefully he can get you 1 or 2 assists and get you some blocks and steals to help. So that's definitely one that I want to take advantage of. Horford's also been good with his fantasy, even though he might not be scoring a lot of points. Like last game, he did have a great scoring, but he didn't have as many rebounds and blocks, so he still got you 39 last game, but game before that, he only had like 4 points, and he still gave you 35 fantasy points. So he can get it done in all categories, so that's why it's nice to play his fantasy, because he might have a poor shooting night, but he might still get you there with the rebounding and the defensive stats, blocks, and steals. Looney is at 23. I took the over in game 1, and he did hit it by 4. It was at 25. Now it's down to 23. And assuming that they're still starting Looney here, unless they decide to shake up their starting lineup a bit. Like, it wasn't really Looney's fault. He did his job. He got rebounds. He was a defensive presence. He got a couple of baskets. But we'll see. If Curse continues to start Looney, I definitely don't mind taking his, because I still expect him to get at least backup center minutes and still get some minutes alongside Draymond, at least to be in the start of the game and then maybe at the beginning of the second half. So these are 3 that I like. And then the last one will be going right back to Marcus Smart, who's at 30 fantasy score. Actually, I'll give you guys one more. 30 fantasy score for Marcus Smart. This one, he all-around production from Marcus Smart can get you big games in points, especially you can count on him to get you maybe like 1 or 2 blocks and steals, get you some rebounding as well and some assists. So Smart at 30 fantasy, I do like. And then the last one would be taking the fantasy on Jason Tatum at 43. Like, poor game from him last game, and he still finished with almost 40. Knew he had a ton of assists, but still, you expect him to score way more than 12 points. And especially after having that poor performance, I really expect him to bounce back. So I actually put 5 props here, which is fine. If you don't like one of these, you can take them out. But these would be the 5 that I would put in. In game 1, we went 4 of 5 for 2x. Hopefully we can maybe get all 5. Or if you're not feeling a guy like Looney, you can take him out and make it like a 4-man instead, if you wanted to do that. But that's what I got for you guys. Best of luck on game number 2. Hopefully you guys make some money, and I'll see you all next time.